Hi, I'm Jeff Golden, founder of Immense Possibilities Ventures and author of Unafraid. For 25 years, I've been working in politics as an author, consultant, and talk show host to reignite the hope and pride we felt about this country when we were children. That pride's buried beneath years of disappointment, but it's still there. My talks and workshops generate practical ideas for unearthing the pride and taking our country back without taking ourselves too seriously. I personally think that events like this are much more interesting and enlightening when they are interactive, when we pool together the insights and perspective of the room. So right at the beginning, I want you to tell me something. If you took away from the last election some sense of pride or patriotism or confidence or even a slight minimal level of satisfaction, would you raise your hand, please? I will report for the camera that there is one hand up in the room. I know him, so I think he's giving me a hard time, but there was one hand up in the room. But I want to suggest that one of our obstacles is the habit that most of us have to hang out and talk mostly with people who more or less agree with us. And that's a natural thing to do. It's comfortable, it's more relaxing, and with all the stress in our work lives, who wants to go out and pick a fight in our downtime? I understand all that. But I think we have to kind of stretch on that. Now, I started proposing something a little while ago that I call take a blockhead to lunch. And I want to invite you to join me. And it's very simple. You think of someone in your life who you know cares about the world, but sees things very differently from you. And you call that person, and you invite them out to lunch or dinner or coffee, and it's up to you whether you want to tell them that they're the blockhead that you're taking out to lunch. And then at that meal, you just listen. Your job is to listen and to try to understand better the person sitting across from you. And you only speak to ask questions. And just putting a question mark at the end of a sentence doesn't make it a question. You don't really believe that hogwash, do you? Is not a question. I also want to suggest that you steer away from questions like, what do you think of George Bush and Hillary Clinton, or abortion, or the inheritance tax, just because those just tend to knock us back into the same old ruts. I want to suggest when I've done this, it becomes a much richer conversation with questions like, could you tell me about an experience or a moment in your life that really shaped how you see the world? That's where really interesting things start to happen. I want you to try this. I want you to see what comes out of this. Now, I think I can guarantee you at a minimum a pretty interesting meal. And beyond that, well, go find out. Go see what you think. I will tell you that it had a number of side benefits for me. I wrote a column about a year ago declaring, I think it was May, Take a Blockhead to Lunch Month. And after that column came out, I got a whole lot of calls inviting me out to lunch. And this occurred to me, this one's great. If I play this right, I could cruise for months without ever picking up a lunch tab. In fact, it worked for me today. I want to thank you for inviting me here today. Our experience in politics is like Lucy and the football in Peanuts, it seems to me. Time and time again, we've stepped up to kick that football, and she's smiling sweetly and saying, it's really going to be different this time. And time again, we fall on our butt. And I really get that. I think that everyone in this room could talk about the disappointment they felt around politics in our lifetime. And I think that heartbroken is not too strong a word. While there are issues that separate and polarize us, do we really want those to be the ones that decide our elections and mold our future? I don't. And I don't think that they have to be. So what am I talking about when I talk about this common ground? Sounds good. It's a nice, pleasant phrase, common ground. Well, what does it mean? After 10 years in talk radio, I've come to the belief that there are three principles that can unite us in a powerful way and change the way we're doing business in this country. They are profoundly American principles. They each one are central to our day-to-day concerns, and they can all be foundations for real-life programs and policies rather than just cliches and polite philosophical talk. And what I want to do is lay them out, and I really want to know how important they are to you. The three of them are taking care of our children, taking care of our communities, and fostering a stronger sense of accountability and personal responsibility. Now, I'm going to guess you have never heard a politician come out against any of those things. In fact, they wrap themselves in those very values almost every election time, you know, with the nicely filtered golden sunlight coming through and the inspiring music, and almost always children, either if they're small enough children, the candidate can toss in the air or take by the hand through the woods or kneel down to face eye to eye. And I want you to know that I really know something about this. Found this yesterday. This is a brochure from my 1990 campaign for the state senate. And in it, one of the pictures is the jungle gym at Hellman Elementary School in Ashland. And I'm standing in the middle of the jungle gym, and I'm surrounded by really adorable children, a couple of them my own. And I just wish I could project it, because I wish you could see how concerned I am about their future in this picture. This is one concerned candidate. And my belief is that if our public leadership put 1/10 of the concern for kids into real policy and budget decisions that they do in their campaign commercials, this would be a very different world. Now, in 2004, I wrote a book called As If We Were Grown-Ups, which is another thing that I will not advertise from this podium. I think talking a lot about as if we were grown-ups would be to abuse your hospitality, so I won't do that. But I do want to tell you about one of the premises in the book. What if we're just making it all up and condemning ourselves to a more pandering than we really have to have? And I started thinking about what that speech would sound like. How would a candidate go into Iowa and oppose ethanol subsidies and survive? And I went home and wrote it, and it became the first speech for this book. And I want to read a little bit to you, not because I believe ethanol is the topic that keeps you awake at night, but because I think it's a pretty good example of what I'm talking about, and about the possibility of a politics that reconfigures the way we think about our self-interest.